David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Today, I have for you a project from a company based in South Africa. I haven't reviewed a pen from South Africa before. The company is named Stanford Wood Studio, and they create handmade pens from wood as well as other materials. They are currently running a crowdfunding campaign through Thundafund, which is a popular South African crowdfunding site, similar to Kickstarter. And it's a pen from that project I will be showing you today. The series being offered is called the Impressionist series. Each of the pens have been inspired by the works of Impressionist artists. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of one of these pens, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample, as well as show some of the additional items that arrive with the pen. Mainly a nice pen pouch as well as a special ink from a company that you are probably not familiar with. Thanks go out to the good folks at Stanford Wood Studio for providing the items you will see today for review. The company is based out of Stanford, South Africa, which is a village near the southern tip of the country, about 2 hours outside of Cape Town. It is described as a village where shoes are optional and dogs have the right of way. Sounds like a nice place. The company is run by a husband and wife team of Dave and Di. Dave has always loved woodworking and would make large projects like canoes and kayaks, and Di is fond of beads and silks. They were bit by the fountain pen bug and decided to start making pens in 2019, with a goal of incorporating each of their interests into the pens they make. Di makes the resins and adds the beaded detail you'll see here in a bit, and Dave turns the pens. They began making pens on a lathe, but the purpose of this campaign is to introduce a new pen line to their offerings, as well as raise money for a CNC lathe so they can improve the quality of their product and produce their pens in a more efficient manner. Okay, that's enough backstory about the company. Let's actually take a look at the pen. As I mentioned, the series they are producing for this campaign is called the Impressionist series. Each of the pens are inspired by a famous Impressionist painting. There is the Toulouse-Lautrec Bal at le Moulin Rouge, Renoir's Dance at les Moulins Galette, Jean Barreau's The Gardens of Paris, Manet's A Bar at Folies Bergère, Monet's Lunch on the Grass, Eva Gonzalez's Indolence, and finally a pen based on this painting by Marceau called Young Woman at the Mirror. The pen arrives in this tube, which will show you the picture that inspired the particular pen you ordered, and inside we have a pen. This is the Young Woman at the Mirror. The pen is made from resin. As you saw with the different pens in this series, most of them have more of a pastel colorway. This particular model was added late in the campaign to appeal to folks who might care for a pen with a more classic look. Let's begin by taking a look at the top of the cap. The top comes to a rounded point, and then that transitions into one of the distinguishing features for these pens, which is the beadwork. The beads for this particular model are silver, aqua, and a color called Ashes of Roses, which is kind of a subtle sandy pink. These are Japanese delica beads, which are known for having an even tile-looking surface. The application of these beads requires a multi-step process where the pen is turned, the beads are applied, and then another layer of clear resin is added in order to seal the adornment inside the material. It's a really nice look. The cap is clipless and angles up at a very slight angle until you reach the thickest portion of the pen, which is the transition from the cap to the barrel. The transition is fairly smooth, and then the barrel tapers down a bit where you have another beaded band, and the end of the barrel comes to a rounded point just like the cap. The cap twists off in just under 3 rotations, and underneath you have this number 6 stainless steel nib. You can get this pen in either a rose gold plated Bach nib or a polished steel Jowo nib in either fine, medium, or broad. And here's a look at the plastic feed. The section begins with a slight flare, and on this pen, it's made from a creamy resin with shades of white and blue and purple. I think those colors play well with the black of the rest of the pen. At the end of the section, we have the threads and a medium-sized step up to the barrel. This pen is long enough to use unposted, and that's good because it's not designed to post. This is a cartridge converter pen. It accepts standard international cartridges, and a converter is provided. Since the barrel is one single piece and there are no metal parts in the section, if you apply the appropriate amount of silicone grease, you could potentially use this pen as an eyedropper. For some tiers of the campaign, there is this nice pen pouch, which is included. It holds up to 4 pens, and it has a nice floral fabric, and is made by David and Di's neighbor, a seamstress by the name of Robin. It's a nice addition to the project. The campaign for these pens ends on Wednesday, June 2nd at midnight. I'm guessing that's midnight South African time, so you'd want to adjust accordingly to see where that is in your time zone. I'll put a link to the campaign in the notes below so you can see each of the tiers and what you receive with each. Basically, in order to receive a pen, the entry-level tier is $170, and for that price, you receive a pen of your choice and a bottle of the custom ink, which I'll show during the writing sample. For what you receive with this pen, I feel that's a reasonable price for an artisan pen tied to a project which supports a creator who really wants to grow and improve their business. As of the posting of this video, there are only a few days left in the campaign, and they've already met their initial goals. The focus of their stretch goal is to purchase more equipment and receive more training. Basically, they want to invest back into their business. They're looking to expand their offerings, perhaps with more items with precious and semi-precious stones, engraving, and things like that. In addition, they would love to use some of the additional funds to attend one of the international pen shows, once the world is no longer on fire. Okay, now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, a writing sample, where we'll take a closer look at the exclusive ink offered along with this pen. So here we have the Stanford Wood Studio Impressionist series. Just to get a closer look at those beads, the beadwork on here is really nice. And then also something I didn't mention in the other portion of the review is that there's not an inner cap, but this portion of the material is a lot thinner than this, so it's a little more translucent here. I know it's hard to see here, but here's a picture of me holding a flashlight there, and you can see how there's a difference in the thickness of the material. In regard to some size comparisons, in regard to some other artisan type pens, here it is with a Kanilea pen company, and that is the Kilauea. And then here it is with a pen 18111 Night Sky Sakura. And here it is with a Jonathan Brooks. This is called the Charleston, and this material here is called Earth Magic. I just really love this material there. In regard to some other pens, here it is with a Platinum 3776 in the Carnelian Red. Then here it is with a Sailor 1911 Large, and that's in the Sea Glass. And then here it is finally with a Pilot Vanishing Point, and this is the Raiden Water Surface, where you can see the Raiden here, which is really nice on that pen, and that's what it looks like in comparison. In regard to uncapped comparisons, here it is with the Platinum, the 3776, and here it is with the 1911 Large, and finally here it is with the pen 18111. So here we go with the writing sample for the Stanford Wood Studio Impressionist. This is a stainless steel broad nib, and the ink that I'm using here today is the exclusive ink that comes with most of the tier levels for this project, and that is by a company called Frera, F-R-A-R-A A-R-A, road. And the name of the ink is called The Gardens of Paris. This is what the ink looks like. It's a nice dark teal. This is what it looks like in comparison to a couple of my favorite inks lately, which is the Leonardo Smeraldo, as well as the Stilo and Stile Roman Bronze Oxidation. This is what the bottle looks like. Farrar Road is a company based out of Cape Town, South Africa. It's run by two brothers and named for the road where one of the brothers lives. They have a brick and mortar store in Cape Town called Right Gear, which sells their own brand of stationery, kind of directed leather products, and they are now launching their own line of inks, which they hand make themselves. So here we go with the rest of the writing sample. This is a very nice broad nib that is very juicy. You're not going to get a lot of line variation out of here, but you can see that it lays down a rather slick, wet line. In regard to some reverse writing, it does very nicely and lays down a nice medium line. And in regard to some fast writing, the feed has no issues in keeping up. So here we have the Stanford Wood Studio Impressionist series. I'd encourage you to take a look at their campaign. The pen is very nice, and that I think I enjoy campaigns like this that support a worthwhile cause and support creators who want to improve their business. And like I said, it expires in just a couple of days, so if you're interested, you want to take a look at it sooner rather than later. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.